my wife shouted. Your sister a Moocher and you a failure, humiliating us in front of everyone, I said. Okay, stepped between them and stayed dead calm. Hours later, when her father arrived with his decision, I am Jake, 29M, and I am writing this at 3 a.m. because I cannot sleep after what happened at my family BBQ today. And I genuinely don't know if I am the asshole here or if my whole world just got turned upside down. When I was 16, my dad walked out on us. Just left one day while I was at school, took his clothes, and never came back. Left me, my mom, and my younger sister Emma, who was 11 at the time, to figure it out. Mom had a breakdown, couldn't work for months. So I basically became Emma's second parent while trying to finish high school. Emma's 24 now, in her final year of nursing school, and she has been living with me and my wife Madison, 27F, for the past 8 months, while she finishes her degree. Money's tight for her nursing school is expensive, and she can only work part-time. So I told her she could stay with us rent-free until she graduates and gets her RN job. Madison wasn't thrilled about it, but she agreed because it is temporary. Here is where it gets complicated. My tech startup is struggling. Like really struggling. I have been bleeding money for 18 months, trying to get this software platform off the ground, and Madison's been essentially supporting us with her marketing executive salary. $5K. I know it has been stressful for her, and I have been working 80-hour weeks trying to turn things around. But lately, Madison's been making comments about how I am a dreamer who cannot execute, about how Emma needs to learn independence, about how she is tired of supporting everyone else's life, while her own goals get put on hold. I tried to brush it off because I know she is frustrated. Hell, I am frustrated too. Watching your business fail while your wife pays the bills isn't exactly great for your ego. Today, we had a family BBQ at our place. Emma had invited a few of her nursing school friends. Madison invited some people from work. And I thought it would be good for everyone to just relax and have fun for once. Everything was fine until Madison had a few too many drinks. One of Emma's friends was asking me about my business, and I was explaining the software platform we are building, trying to stay positive despite everything. Madison walks over and just inserts herself into the conversation. Don't get too excited about Jake's busyness, she says, making air quotes. It has been hemorrhaging money for almost 2 years while I pay for everything. I felt my face burn, but I tried to laugh it off. Madison, come on. What? It is true, you keep calling yourself an entrepreneur. But entrepreneurs actually make money eventually. The conversation went dead. Emma's friend looked embarrassed. I pulled Madison aside and asked her to tone it down. Tone it down, Jake. I am tired of pretending your little hobby is a real business. When I am the one keeping this household afloat. That is when Emma walked over. Madison, maybe lay off him. He is working his ass off. Madison turned on her like a switch had flipped. Oh, that is rich coming from you. You are 24 years old, living rent-free in our house, while I support your broke brother and pay for your groceries. Maybe worry about your own situation before defending his failures. Emma's face went white. Madison. What the hell, your brother cannot even support himself, let alone you. But sure, keep mooching off us while you play pretend nurse. That is when Emma punched her. Not a slap. A full punch to the face that knocked Madison backward into our patio table. Everything exploded after that. Madison's work friends were screaming, Emma was crying, and I was standing there trying to figure out what the hell had just happened to my life. Madison's nose was bleeding, and she was shrieking about calling the police and pressing assault charges. Emma locked herself in her room. The party ended with everyone leaving and Madison calling her parents to come get her. Her father called me an hour later and laid out the ultimatum. Either Emma moves out and I cut contact with her, or Madison's filing for divorce. He said Emma is clearly unstable and Madison shouldn't have to live in fear in her own home. But here is what is eating at me. Madison wasn't wrong about the money. I am failing at my business. She is supporting us. Emma's living in our house for free. But the way she said it in front of everyone, humiliating both of us like that, felt like she was trying to destroy something on purpose. Emma keeps apologizing, saying she ruined my marriage and she will move out tomorrow. But watching my little sister get torn apart by someone who is supposed to be family triggered something in me that I didn't expect. I have been Emma's protector since we were kids. She is the only family I have left. And seeing Madison attack her like that made me realize something I had been avoiding. Madison doesn't just resent supporting my business. She resents Emma existing in our life at all. So Reddit, AITA for telling Madison's father that if she wants to make this an ultimatum, she can pack her shit and leave. Because I am not choosing between my wife and my sister. I am choosing between someone who attacks my family and someone who has been loyal to me through everything. But maybe I am wrong. Maybe I really am a failure who is letting my sister ruin my marriage. I honestly don't know anymore. Update 1 after Madison went to stay with her parents. I spent a few days feeling like maybe I had made a huge mistake. Her dad kept calling, saying Madison was devastated and that I was choosing sides instead of being a husband. Emma was barely eating, convinced she had ruined my life, and I started wondering if maybe Madison had a point about everything. Then my business partner Derek called me with something strange. Jake, I need to ask you something, and don't get pissed. Did you tell Madison we were having problems with the Henderson Industries deal? No. Why? Because someone called their procurement director last month and told them you were financially unstable and unreliable. They almost pulled out of the contract. My stomach dropped. What exactly did they say? That you were borrowing money from family members, that your personal finances were a mess, and that they should reconsider working with someone who cannot manage his own household. I hung up and immediately started making calls to other potential clients we had lost over the past 6 months. 3 of them told me similar stories. Someone had called them with concerns about my professionalism and financial stability. The calls all came from a woman who claimed to be looking out for their business interests. I confronted Madison about it when she came by to get more clothes. At first, she denied everything. But when I told her I had the client testimonials, she broke down. I was trying to protect us. Your business is failing, Jake? I thought if you got rejected enough, you would finally give up and get a real job with steady income. You sabotaged my business? I saved us from throwing more good money after bad. Do you know how embarrassing it is telling my friends that my husband's startup has been losing money for 2 years? That is when I realized this wasn't about protecting our finances. This was about her being embarrassed by me. But it gets worse. When I went to our bank to check our accounts, I discovered Madison had been moving money out of our joint savings into an account I didn't know about. $8,000 over the past 4 months, all transferred while I was at work. When I called her about it, she said it was protecting our assets from your failing business. Madison, that is our emergency fund. That is money for rent and bills. It is money I earned while you played pretend entrepreneur. I have every right to protect what I have worked for. Then Emma told me something that made my blood run cold. Jake, Madison's been saying things to me when you are not here. Really mean things. What kind of things? She tells me I am a burden, that I am ruining her marriage by living here. Last week she said you would be better off without me dragging you down. Emma had been dealing with Madison's psychological abuse for months while I was buried in work. Trying to save a business Madison was actively destroying. My business partner Derek confirmed something else. Madison had called him 3 months ago asking about exit strategies if I wanted out of the company. She had been planning this systematic destruction of my professional life while pretending to be supportive. The worst part, I had been blaming myself for all of it. Every lost client, every financial stress, every tension in our marriage. I thought it was because I was failing as a husband and businessman. But Madison had been orchestrating my failure while positioning herself as the long-suffering wife of an incompetent dreamer. I am writing this from Emma's dorm room, where I am staying tonight. Tomorrow I am calling a lawyer, because what Madison did wasn't just unsupportive, it was sabotage. And Emma doesn't deserve to be abused by someone who sees her as an obstacle to controlling me. I should have seen this earlier. I should have protected Emma better. But at least now I know what I am really dealing with. Update 2 Monday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from my bank. Madison had cleaned out our joint checking account $30,000 that was supposed to cover our rent, car payments, and business expenses for the next 3 months. When I called her, she said it was compensation for supporting your failure for 2 years and that I could figure out my own finances now. I immediately drove to her parents' house to confront her, but her father met me at the door with papers. These are terms for a financial settlement, he said. Madison wants 50% of your business equity, plus compensation for the money she has invested in your household over the past 2 years. She stole $30,000 from our joint account. She protected assets she earned while you played entrepreneur. Sign these papers, and we can all move on. I told him to go to hell and called a lawyer. That is when things got really ugly. Derek called me Wednesday with devastating news. Madison's been having an affair with her boss for 6 months. I didn't want to tell you, but my girlfriend works at their company. She has seen them together at company events, leaving the office together. The whole thing. Madison's been planning an exit strategy while sleeping with her supervisor. Everything started making sense: the business sabotage, the financial manipulation, the systematic abuse of Emma. Madison had been preparing to leave while destroying my ability to rebuild without her. But here is the part that destroyed me. Emma had been recording Madison's verbal abuse for weeks because she was scared no one would believe her. "I didn't want to show you this while you were dealing with business stuff," Emma said, handing me her phone. But after what happened with the money, the recording is 15 minutes of Madison telling Emma she is worthless, that she is ruining Madison's marriage, that my business is failing because I am too weak to focus on what matters, instead of babying your pathetic sister. The worst part, your brother is a pathetic loser who cannot support himself, let alone you. You are both going to end up poor and alone, and I am not going down with you. Months of psychological abuse while I was working 80-hour weeks, trying to save a business she was actively destroying. I played the recording for my lawyer. He said it was evidence of emotional abuse and that combined with the financial theft, we had grounds for everything from spousal theft to intentional interference with business relationships. Madison's affair partner turns out he is married too. His wife found out when my lawyer contacted their company about Madison's harassment of clients. Both Madison and her boss are now facing internal investigations. The stolen money. Madison's been forced to return it through legal channels. Her lawyer advised her that fighting it would mean exposing the affair and the systematic sabotage in court. My business is already recovering. 3 clients called this week wanting to restart conversations after learning about Madison's interference. The Henderson deal is back on track. But the real revelation came yesterday. Emma's recording captured Madison on the phone with her boss, talking about how she was going to get Jake to give up the business so they could start fresh together. This wasn't just a bad marriage. This was a calculated plan to destroy my professional life, isolate me from my family, and position me to be completely dependent on someone who was already planning to leave me for someone else. I keep thinking about how close I came to choosing Madison over Emma, how close I came to cutting off the one person who has been genuinely loyal to me while defending someone who had been systematically destroying my life. Final update: the divorce finalized 2 weeks ago. Madison was forced to return the stolen money and pay my legal fees after her lawyer advised her that fighting would mean exposing the affair, business sabotage, and emotional abuse in open court. She lost her job after the company investigation found evidence of her interfering with client relationships and having an affair with her supervisor. Her boss's wife filed for divorce and is apparently taking him for everything he is worth. My business, it is thriving. Once Madison's sabotage was removed, clients started returning. The Henderson deal went through for $200K, and we have landed 2 more major contracts. Derek and I are actually profitable for the first time since launch. But the most important thing happened yesterday. Emma graduated nursing school. I walked her across the stage at her graduation ceremony. Afterward, we went to dinner at this little Italian place she loves, and she insisted on paying because she got her first RN job offer that morning. $72K starting salary at Austin Medical Center. "I want to thank you," she said over dessert, "for choosing me, for believing me about Madison when I wasn't sure anyone would." That is when I realized something important. I didn't choose Emma over Madison. I chose loyalty over manipulation. I chose someone who supported me through failure over someone who was orchestrating it. While we were at dinner, Madison texted me, "I made a huge mistake. We belong together. Your business success proves we could have made it work." I showed Emma the text and she just laughed. Some people only want you when you are winning. Madison's Instagram shows her back with her college ex-boyfriend. Same pattern: expensive dinners, weekend trips, designer shopping. Guess she found someone else to support her lifestyle while she figures out her next move. The whole experience taught me something my dad's abandonment never did. The difference between someone who supports you through struggle and someone who creates it. Emma never once made me feel bad for failing at business. She helped with whatever she could, encouraged me when I wanted to quit, and stood up for me when someone tried to tear me down publicly. Madison, meanwhile, was actively sabotaging my chances of success, while positioning herself as the victim of my failure. I am seeing someone new now, met her through Emma's nursing program. She is a respiratory therapist who drives a Honda that is somehow older than mine and thinks my business stories are interesting instead of embarrassing. When I told her about Madison, her response was, "Anyone who tries to separate you from family that supports you is showing you who they really are." Emma's moving into her own place next month, but we are closer than we have ever been. She is talking about buying a house eventually, and I am thinking about investing in a duplex where we could both have space but still be close. Some people think that is weird. A grown man living near his sister instead of focusing on romantic relationships. But Emma's proven her loyalty through everything. She has earned the kind of trust that takes decades to build. Madison revealed her character the moment things got difficult. Emma revealed hers by staying loyal when it would have been easier to side with the person paying the bills. The business is expanding to Dallas next quarter. Emma starts her RN job Monday, and I finally understand why my dad leaving was actually a gift. It taught me early what real family loyalty looks like. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you teaches you the most important thing you need to know. Choose the people who choose you back, especially when choosing you costs them something. Madison texted again last night asking if we could talk about the future. I deleted it without responding. The future looks pretty good from where I am sitting.